Hey guys, welcome back to Pandemic Learning. One of the really key things about Jacksonian democracy is the rise and the solidification of the two-party system in the United States permanently. I get a little bit memey here today. So if you remember, we had the Era of Good Feelings, a very brief era of one-party rule under James Monroe, but as it says, and it's gone. And so quickly that turned in the election of 1824. This is a great little piece of information for a short answer. It was called the corrupt bargain election. As you can see, Jackson got the most electoral votes and the most popular votes, but unfortunately, all four candidates were sectional. You had two from the South, one from the West, Henry Clay, and one from the North, John Quincy Adams. Anyone who does not win a majority of the electoral college, it gets thrown to the House of Representatives. And according to Jackson supporters, Clay and Adams conducted a corrupt bargain where Clay became Secretary of State, and John Quincy Adams, even though he did not have even close to the majority of the popular vote, became President of the United States. Jackson would use this a lot to basically have what is known as the Revolution of 1828. Okay, as you can see, the difference between the two electoral maps. In 1828, Jackson solidified his support. He created a new party, one that we will have to know from now on, the Democratic Party, and he trounced John Quincy Adams in the election of 1828. And we have firmly stopped listening to George Washington, who said, please don't create political parties. All right, this led to the rise of the second political party, and this was what I like to call the party of Jackson haters. All right, and this is the Whigs. So for the next two chapters, you need to know who the Whig Party is. Obviously, they do not stick around, as most of you have probably not heard of them. The Whigs were interesting. They had, again, sectional candidates, Clay representing the West, Calhoun representing the South, and Webster representing the North. None of these three gentlemen agreed with each other, but the one thing they agreed was they didn't like Andrew Jackson. The creator of the Whig Party was definitely Henry Clay, though, so he's the one of all of them that you need to remember. And Henry Clay, probably most famous for running for president 5 times, becoming his party's nominee 3 times, and having won exactly 0 times. This was the election of 1832 when Clay thought that he had a really good chance of beating Jackson. And as you can see, hey, he won his home state of Kentucky. All right. So remember Clay. The other guy to remember, obviously, is John C. Calhoun, the defender of the South. Remember that when I say that John C. Calhoun did not like Jackson, John C. Calhoun was Jackson's vice president for the first 4 years of his presidency. So imagine if your vice president doesn't even like you, the job that you're doing as president. All right. John C. Calhoun will become much more important as the voice and defender of the South during the period of antebellum slavery. All right, so really important chart here, guys, just to kind of take a gander at. It's not that confusing, although it will get a little confusing in the 20th century. But the Democratic Republican Party, the party of Jefferson, the Jeffersonians, if you will, becomes the Democratic Party. Okay, Jackson takes the mantle of Jeffersonian democracy. Jeffersonian and Jacksonian democracy basically become the Democratic Party. So think about everything that Jefferson stood for. The party of Hamilton, remember the Federalist Party had died. Here it says it died in 1824, but for all practical purposes, it died after the Hartford Convention in 1814. This is replaced by the Whig Party, which becomes basically the forebearer of the Federalist Party. And we haven't gotten there yet, but in a couple of chapters, this will ultimately become what is known as the Grand Old Party or the Republican Party. All right, so by 1854, we have the two major parties. And as you can see, they kind of solidify in 1896. They have changed their views, just as an example, and not to confuse you, but today the Republican Party is more the party of states' rights, whereas if you remember, the Jeffersonian Party was the party of states' rights way back in the early 1800s. So this other chart is right out of your book, but make sure that you, during Jacksonian's time period, you know what the Democrats believed in, what the Whigs believed in, and specifically who is their base of voter support. Okay, Jackson mostly got the West and the Southern vote. And he, after being president for 8 years, he basically nominated his successor. This was Martin Van Buren. The Whigs tried a tactic of nominating 4 sectional candidates again, thinking that it would get thrown to the House of Representatives. But Martin Van Buren, based mainly on his amazing sideburns, won easily. However, all you need to know about Martin Van Buren is he was devastated by what is considered to be the first Great Depression in American history, or the Panic of 1837. Even though it's Jackson's fault, he gets blamed for it. And this leaves the Whigs in a really good position to win in 1840 and to solidify the two-party system. This begins the age of what is known as modern campaigning. Okay, the Whigs nominate a war hero, William Henry Harrison. He has the first true campaign slogan in modern American politics: Tippecanoe and Tyler too. He's the hero of the Battle of Tippecanoe. They drag around a log cabin and they offer their supporters hard cider wherever they go. He goes out and actively campaigns, which is the first time a president has actually done this. He claims that Martin Van Buren is the candidate of the elite and the candidate of the wealthy, even though William Henry Harrison was way more wealthy than Martin Van Buren. And they give the idea that William Henry Harrison was just born in a log cabin, which was not true. He was actually born in a mansion, but it worked. He wins. He gives an inaugural address. He dies. That's William Henry Harrison. So Tippecanoe became Tyler too. And this then leads us to the beginning of two-party system. The two parties will be there from now on. Another curious thing about the Whigs is they will have 2 presidents. Both of them will be war heroes, and both of them will die within a year of being in office. So finally, Andrew Jackson is summed up best by saying that he had only 2 regrets as president: that he did not shoot Henry Clay and he did not hang John C. Calhoun. That gives you an idea of why we probably have a two-party system in the country today. All right, thanks, guys.